Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is Asha Jadeja Motwani. Asha, welcome on the show.
Thank you, Nitin. Such a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is all ours. Let's start with the big question. Who is Asha?
Asha is a mom, doctor, venture capitalist, a philanthropist, art collector, and increasingly a sort of a global citizen who is doing a whole bunch of stuff between US and India, and with some little bit of presence even in Europe now. So that's me. I would say global citizen who is trying to bring about changes in India, especially, which tackle poverty at a scale, hopefully, and by bringing various things like entrepreneurship, by supporting women entrepreneurs, by helping girls with education, safety, and things like that. So that's my work right now is mostly focused on getting entrepreneurs who are already doing fantastic work on the ground accelerate and follow a certain vision.
Love it. And I think one attribute you missed out on, which I would like to add, is you're very humble, very approachable, very down to earth, despite the fact, the impact that you create in whatever field you touch your hands on. So thank you for being you.
No, thanks for saying that. Yeah.
Now, I would love to know, having accomplished so much, what gets you up in the morning, all excited, motivated to go do X?
Full speed ahead.
Yes.
I feel that I'm blessed with an attitude of caring, actually, of being able to care. A lot of us sometimes can get distracted, and we want to be, we get distracted with our own little things here and there. I feel like for some reason I've had from childhood, I would say, an attitude, or maybe it also came about because of family, an attitude of sort of saying that it matters to us if somebody around us is not doing well.
Yes.
And how do you make a difference? And if so, what are the resources you have on your table? So you look at those resources, you map them, and you say, how do I connect these dots so that that person out there that is either suffering or not doing well or can do better and make a difference in their community, what can I do that will make a difference? That's what wakes me up in the morning and gets me jumping out of bed. And thank heavens that there is so much to be done everywhere. It's not just India, but I wake up in the morning and I look at what's going on in East Palo Alto or across the bridge, even in the Bay Area.
Yes.
And there is so much to be done. There is so much problem solving to be done. There is so much. I personally don't believe in this whole idea of sort of wealth kind of equalization kind of. I think that's something that governments can handle.
Right.
But I do feel that if there is suffering of people around you, that's something that needs to be addressed, and that we can make a difference. Each of us can make a difference. So,
So true.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to know the why, but also how do you go about, thinking and dividing your time and energy between being a venture capitalist and an astute one at that, and then being a philanthropist?
So the division of time is blurring now, increasingly, as I move forward in life, in the sense that a lot of my philanthropic projects are based around entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, who are already making a difference. We call them social entrepreneurs, but they are actually not social entrepreneurs. They are also very for-profit. They are business oriented. They are economic oriented. They're problem-solving kind of entrepreneurs that I work with, and these folks are bringing to the table so much of their own resources, even if they're meager, but they're in a very smart, intelligent kind of a way. So my own, the boundaries between pure venture capital, which was, how do I make that 10x or 1,000x in a matter of 3 years or 4 years or 10 years, from that to saying, how do I invest in this particular social entrepreneurs whose impact is fantastic on the ground, but the returns may be slower and more far out in the future. But the returns have to be there. I don't believe in, unless it's a very, very specific area, I don't believe in the grants model. I prefer models where I tell my entrepreneurs, even social entrepreneurs, that this is an investment.
Yes.
How are you going to be able to not only return my investment,
Right.
but return it to me with a profit? How will you do that? And once I push my entrepreneurs to think like that, their own sustainability level
Right.
goes up, and they think much more as a business, as a sustainable business,
Yes.
will not be dependent, on grants.
And I think that's the best way to do it, right? How do you bring in that sustainability model within the structure instead of expecting and going in fundraising on
Yes.
a constant basis?
Yes.
If I were to get a sense of, what I love to talk about, and I know that's dear to you also, is the impact. Right? What would you say is the impact of your investments that you can measure as of right now?
Measurement is a tricky
Yes.
question, because when you see there are two aspects of measurement. One is, of course, the usual metrics of sort of saying how many people were impacted,
Right.
how were they impacted, and what were the usual metrics for that. The second is these are more intangible
Mhm.
effects. So, for example, let me give you an example of like, for example, I have a robotics startup out of India. It's not just about employment that they are. So the measurable impact would be, okay, how many people are they employing?
Right.
What is their
Revenues,
revenue?
yeah.
How are the profits?
Right.
How are the other employees doing in the company? The usual metrics.
Mhm.
But then there are also metrics around, these guys are beginning to be a role model
Mhm.
for other companies
Yes.
in that space.
Right.
And the founders are actually now becoming mentors to younger entrepreneurs
Right. Just
in the
uplifting.
ecosystem.
Right.
So what's happening is you'll have other people who are from Bangalore or around Bangalore
Mhm.
who are now reaching out to my entrepreneurs and getting their feedback, advice, introductions, and so on. Those are intangible,
Yes.
things that we are making an impact on, and I think those are invaluable. I think it's just it's creating a mind shift
Yes.
in young people. Things also, like, for example, one of the things that I really was surprised to find is that some of my entrepreneurs have, based on certain role models, decided not to do college, actually, and drop out of college and continue doing their startup. And one of them right now is he dropped out of high school, actually. He's developed a drone that is now it hovers over landmines.
Wow.
So his current customer is Ukraine. So he's actually neutralizing landmines in Ukraine,
Nice.
and he's 20.
Wow.
Dropped out of high school, college. Thankfully, his parents did not mind, but I
Mhm.
do see myself as being, responsible for his
Yes.
dropping out of high school, and it never scared me. I knew that he was on
He's
to
in good
great
hands.
things. He's on to great things, actually. But there are these are things, these are impacts that we
Right.
must appreciate. Actually, we must
Yes.
learn to know that these are things that are extremely important.
I agree. I mean, they're intangible, but not really.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I love that. Now, as you go out and escalate and be an agent of change and be a catalyst, what is the biggest challenge you're facing?
I would say, I see challenges as opportunities. Nitin, I do see them as, like, for example, I'll give you an example. So let's say if I'm looking at startup scene in India, and I find that there is some regulatory challenges, right? That there are some bottlenecks that just slow down the whole entrepreneurial ecosystem. So if I see that, not only do I make it my business to communicate this to the Indian, political system, including to the Prime Minister, and get that message out. But I also see that as saying, not only are we getting that regulation down, but what are we substituting it with? Do we need a substitution? And if you're substituting it, can it be an accelerant rather than something that is a rent-seeking,
Yes.
old beast? So I think I do see them as opportunities right now. In India, I think the bottleneck, I would say, or obstacle, is the existence of lots and lots of legacy regulations that we don't need. India has done a fabulous job. Actually, Modi has done a fabulous job of getting rid of many regulations. But I think there are many more to go.
Agreed.
So
I love how you take on a challenge and flip it around and see how you can make a difference with that attitude, with that relentless approach, and help these entrepreneurs to engage and improve and accelerate. Now, is there, in addition to this, an opportunity that you're most excited about?
I'm actually, I would say I mean, personally as a VC, I see, artificial intelligence, AI, as being huge. It's like, it's a revolution of its own, just like the mobile phone revolution. It is huge. We still don't understand fully the extent to which this thing can change the way we live, work, and learn. So that's something I think I'm super excited about. I have just begun to scratch the surface of this beast, and I hope that I can learn more. But of course, all of you have probably tasted, the power of ChatGPT. But that's just the first generation starting point of what's possible. So I think for me, AI is a huge opportunity. Second opportunity, which is untapped across the planet, is women.
Yes.
We don't have women in the workforce in most of the parts of the planet. And this is huge, because once women start getting professionally trained and into the workforce, we will start seeing paradigm shifts in the way we work and in the way we understand problems and the way we solve them. I actually think that the more that we have women, even in defense and so on, the more likely we are to see less preponderance of war. And if it's just men running the show right now, and you have wars all over, and strife, and I think that is likely to go down significantly if women were in positions of authority in armies, in defense, and things like that. So I think that's a huge untapped opportunity.
I so agree with you. I think it's a bigger opportunity than AI.
That's true. Yeah. It will change the history of our planet.
Yes. Asha, as we look forward, I would love to take a look back in the rearview mirror and talk about two instances. One that became a success beyond your imagination, right? And another one that did not meet your expectations and was a failure, became a lesson.
I would say the biggest success, as you know, and most of the people in the Bay Area would know, is that Rajiv and I were very closely involved in the creation of Google.
Yes.
Rajiv much more so than me. But I think that was probably the biggest success story. Did we know about it when Google started? We knew that it was very powerful because the algorithms that Rajiv had co-authored, both PageRank and anchor text, were so disruptive. I mean, they were mathematically so difficult and so disruptive that we knew that something big was cooking. And the people's response on the campus when Google was released as the search engine on Stanford campus, the results were so good, the search results were so good that we knew that there was something big cooking there. But we didn't know exactly how it was going to turn out, given that there were at least, I would say, 6 other pretty good search engines already running. So the biggest success was Google, and I think that's something that I'm lucky, and that I was also here at Stanford, and Rajiv was on the computer science faculty, and Larry, Sergey, and Rajiv and all of them worked together on this. But I think what was really the learning from that really was that they started out with a vision, saying how do we as computer scientists make a difference in this world to make it a better world, right? And they really felt that with their skills in computer science and mathematics, if they brought all the information of the planet, they really started with a very simple idea. They brought all the information of the planet into the hands of all the human beings. That's an instant equalizer in many ways, right? And so just imagine, such a simple philosophical idea is what created this, this search engine. In terms of what were the sort of biggest failures, or many startups, right? Yes. So I would say out of every 10 startups that I funded, or that Rajiv and I funded, I would say maybe about 4 to 5 would succeed, and another 6 may not make it. And this is the norm. I mean, we did much better. We were still much better, but the learning there in all these, the failure of the startups going belly up, was that, no, of course, no, it wasn't just a loss of our investment,
Sure.
which was trivial compared to
Mhm.
what was at stake.
Mhm.
But I think the learning there was that the one thing that really makes a difference is the vision of the founders, of the
Mhm.
entrepreneurs. If their vision is huge, it's sort of much bigger than their own, sort of um, matrix of where they want to be in the next 5 years or something. If their vision was broad to begin with, that is something that was critical. That learning was important for both of us. The founder's vision was
Mhm.
something that we really started betting on later on. And one of the companies that I think was a big surprise for me when it failed was a company called AdChemy,
Mhm.
which is an advertising engine that was developed around the whole Google ecosystem.
Mhm.
And it for me, we both Rajiv and I thought it was going to be a big play, and it didn't sort of go belly up. It was got acquired by Walmart or something,
Mhm.
but it was a disappointment. I must say, yeah.
But as long as we learn from it,
Yes.
right, we move on.
Yes, absolutely.
Asha, I would love to move us into my favorite part of the show, which is the one-line life lessons. I'd love for you to share a few of your life lessons with us.
Sure thing, Nitin, and thank you again for inviting me on your show. But I think one of the lessons that I've learned as I run into challenges in
Mhm.
life is to not look at the world as kind of either or. I
Binary.
started substituting or
Yeah.
for the word and.
Yes.
And I've noticed that has really helped me to say, okay, one can do this and that, and somehow make it happen. So that ends up being inclusive. It unites people. It unites opposing parties, and I think unity is much more important than division of any kind. And it's possible to do it, and many of us are able to do it well. So I think that's a lesson, one important lesson. The second lesson I would say that I can share is that when you interact with new people, start out with the assumption that there is a core goodness to everybody, and begin from there. After that, you can, if you run into lots of evidence of somebody being a bad apple,
Right.
that's fine, act on it. But in general, I think it's important to start out with the assumption that everybody has a good heart,
Mhm.
and that if you peel a few layers, you can make it work.
Right.
You can make it work. Yeah. We are lucky to be here, and we forget, Nitin, that we are here for a limited time on the
Yes.
planet. And so if I would say that's probably the third lesson, if at all, that since we are here for a short period of time, if we reverse engineer from the end and say, what can I do in the next 20 years or 30 years, right? What is it that I can do that will make the world a better place? It will be fun for me. And how do I make this happen? It's actually quite easy then to put the steps forward. And remember that this is a journey to be enjoyed. Life is about really enjoying oneself, having fun, working hard, and getting some results. So yeah.
Love that. Asha, thank you so much for making the time to be with us, for sharing your journey, your story, your successes, and your lessons. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Nitin. This is great. Yeah, it was. Thank you for having me on your show, and look forward to having our own fellows now slowly
Yes.
getting more visibility on your show. So
Lovely.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.